So Hela, you are a British Iranian artist, family culture, and that you grew up painting miniatures. And that was my question. I was very curious about your background in art and how Iranian culture and your own practice came together. If you could talk about your background.
I came to this country and I started my secondary school in 1978. It's very time-consuming, and I think it's not as kind of fast and as sexy as other techniques that is happening. So I think a lot of Iranian artists are no longer interested in pursuing the traditional techniques.
But do you also use the miniature techniques? I mean, I've only seen your conceptual work, so you're using those techniques in other art forms?
I still make extemporary paintings, those miniature paintings. Yeah, absolutely.
Have you been showing that work or your conceptual work in Iran?
Yes, so I participated in a ICA Biennale, which was Iranian Contemporary Art Biennale last year, which was a fantastic touring exhibition which went from Tehran, I think near Varan Contemporary Art Museum, to Esfahan, and then went to Abadan. 40 artists which were international, non-Iranians as well as Iranian artists that participated. So, and apparently the footfall of the visitors was quite amazing, because Iranians are very hungry for any kind of art scene that comes to Iran. I think I can say that perhaps even the young people are perhaps much more into art than even in the West, I would say. Yes, I mean, I think it's the art scene in Iran is quite vibrant.
Your interesting comment about how you felt that in Iran art had this power among the young, for the young. I think that about photography and newspapers also for Iran, that these countries are Middle Eastern countries, that the photograph still has the power that it's been denuded of in the West. Mm-hmm. But Ahad, I wanted to ask you about the pop sensibilities in your work. When we were at tea earlier today, you were showing us the exhibition that you did at the Royal College. And it's moving pomegranates, it's video art, it's installation, from the photograph of the installation in the desert. I mean, it's a real pop sensibility, and I said over tea that it really reminded me of the pop artists that I grew up in America with. And so can you talk about that, please?
So I come from a graphic design background. So this visual language of information spread and spreading that kind of message is something that I took with me when I kind of produced, decided to kind of concentrate on my art, so concentrate on producing art. And coming here and having kind of this distance away from my country and society, the only form of or way that I could link back to that was through the internet and through videos that were generated from the kingdom and that were being spread, viral videos, images, and also the news and information on the news. This led me to kind of want to form my own narrative about the things that were happening in my country. Through these kind of viral imagery that were, being produced, and a lot of it is popular culture. And yeah, I see it in a way as me studying the ethnography of my country through kind of these viral images that are being, and I analyze these viral images. For example, the one that I have exhibited here is of Ahlam, the singer, Dream, the singer. And yeah, so I use these kind of elements as symbols, and I kind of reinterpret them and form different narratives with them in my work.
I always think that it's very interesting about art cultures when they become quite self-reflective about the popular culture, and somehow that self-reflection is I found your work very witty, and smart and very witty, and I think I don't know a lot. I know some art from Saudi Arabia, but it was that level of critical popular culture, being critical with it, that I found quite surprising. And I thought, oh, what am I thinking of? This is very modern art from. Are there artists, a young generation Saudi artists, are they like you? Are they working with popular culture? Or are they working more in, would you say, in traditional forms?
I think we have a mixture. There are some that truly believe in, the Islamic art, forms and geometric patterns, and then there's some that kind of mix, the different formats. So I think there's a mixture, but I think the people that I kind of really look into are the people who work a lot with popular culture. These are kind of the people that are my friends, and we introduce each other and we develop, in that kind of, in that kind of way.
So you're suggesting there might be a group of you?
I mean,
yeah, that's a posse.
There's a posse.
We look forward to the posse. Zaina, can you talk about one thing that I notice about your work, especially The Future is in the Hand of a Woman, that painting with mixed media, is that it was inspired by graffiti. The badges, the scraps of paper that's on that makes up the woman's dress in the painting. It's street life. It seems to be from the street. So I'm very curious about. It seemed to me that after the Arab awakening, we had like this flurry of the street. Suddenly, the street was visible. Before, perhaps it was official culture that we were seeing. Not so much in Lebanon, but definitely in Syria. I'm not so sure about Jordan, but in other countries, perhaps there was an official culture that was the accepted culture. There was also an official language. People weren't talking in slang. So the street was kind of kept back. And somehow now I feel after 2011, the street is very evident. And you seem to take not only inspiration from the street, but from the Beirut cityscape. So I'm kind of curious about your relationship to this.
It's kind of an obsession more than a relationship, because I think the city is, to portray a city like a Middle Eastern city, these are old cities with old culture, and it's very hard to do it in just one layer. I mean, I can't go with my canvas and sit and do a landscape of Beirut. It just doesn't work this way. So, and every time I want to discover a city, I think the best way is just to walk down the streets and look at its walls, because in a way, walls tell so many stories. And as you said, I mean, you can depict if it's a period of voting by the posters and vote for me and the slogans, or is it a period of war? And you've got, as I told you before, we have so much concrete in Lebanon that it was calling for graffiti artists, and I was waiting for it to come, and it took a long time to come, in fact, in Lebanon. So finally it started, and you have this new generation, because at first it was experimental and you didn't have such great work.
Yeah.
But now you feel that you have all these new generation experimenting on the walls and expressing themselves. Now you always have this, I mean, politics is in our blood in Lebanon, sadly. You wake up on the news, you read the news, you eat the news, you do everything on the news. So you always have these slogans about this kind of party or the other one. But it tells also, this is how it is. I mean, the society, you can read about the society, you can guess which era we're passing by, you can know about the inhabitants of the city by its walls, by reading what's happening on the walls. I mean, the holes on the walls are still there from the bullets. They're not covered in Beirut. And you wouldn't see it, because you see a new nice restaurant popping up, and it's all this mixture of old and new.
So, but in your work, I get a sense of there's a real energy in Zaina's work, and it's kinetic. It's the street. So some people can do portraits of the city and not capture that energy. So I'm sort of curious. It's a love affair you have. It's not romantic, it's not sentimental. It's very alive, I feel, like when I see it. Like when I saw it, I thought, oh, this is Beirut. This is the Beirut that I know. So you must be putting an idea of like, even though you, so I guess my question really is that, how do you see yourself? Are you a social historian? Like, are you an artist, a social historian? Like, are you documenting? Like, what are you? Are you dreaming? Like, what,
I mean, I don't know where to put myself at all. I'm hovering. I didn't land yet. But I think that Beirut, you have this relation of love and hate. You can't just have one-way relationship with Beirut because it's such a chaotic place to be in. But at the end, this is why you're attracted to it. Now, is it a trap? You can't just get out of it or not? No, it's a different question. But I mean, it is, as you said, it is always, the city is alive. You've got smells on the streets, you've got the sound of the streets. You can't just walk in Beirut and have an easy, like you do it in the park or, an easy walk. You have to react with the guy with the shop and you get pumped in a lot, I mean, it's alive. And this is what I try to portray, and this is why I feel that in my work, if I want to talk technique, I have to put many layers because I can't just do it